Alternates. Alternates are not monsters, not ghosts, not demons, they're worse. They're impostors. They're you, but stripped of empathy, humanity, and warmth. They look like you, talk like you, move like you, but every blink and every breath is slightly wrong. Just enough for your brain to scream, "That's not me." Alternates infiltrate lives by replacing people, forcing family members to question who's real and who's just a hollow parody. They thrive on fear and despair, manipulating humans into madness or outright suicide. Their weapons aren't claws or guns, it's uncanny mimicry. They are the whisper that turns trust into paranoia. The subtle glitch in reality that tells you even your mother's face isn't safe anymore. What makes them unbearable to think about is their sheer patience. They don't need to rush. They don't need to kill you directly. They watch you unravel, your faith in the people around you disintegrating until you're alone, screaming into a mirror, realizing the reflection might not scream back. Alternates are the Mandela Catalogue's declaration of war against reality. They ask the ugliest question imaginable. What happens when the people you love most are just masks worn by something that hates you? Gabriel. Gabriel is the angel who decided "messenger of God" was too boring. So he rewrote the job description as "nightmare fuel in a trench coat." He appears as a distorted version of the biblical figure, a corrupted angel who has traded light for manipulation. His presence in the Mandela Catalogue is not about salvation, it's about control. Gabriel whispers promises of truth, divine purpose, and eternal life, but behind the words is a predator weaving traps. His goal is not to lead humanity toward God but to corral it into despair. To twist religion into a weapon of terror. His image bleeds with uncanny divinity. The kind of biblical terror that reminds you angels were described with wings of fire and eyes in every direction. Gabriel takes that awe and hollows it out, leaving only dread. The cruelty here is theological. Gabriel poisons faith. He takes the one thing people cling to when alternates and despair surround them, belief in something higher, and he corrodes it. Imagine praying for protection and the very angel you call upon answers, but he doesn't save you. He mocks you. He leads you into the dark. Gabriel isn't just an antagonist. He's betrayal in holy form. He is the echo of God's voice if God had been replaced by an alternate. A parasite wearing the skin of divinity. And that's why he's terrifying, not because he kills, but because he convinces you he's the only thing worth listening to before he drags you into hell. The Intruder. The Intruder is the face you see in the corner of a dark room and pray is just a trick of the light. A gaunt, deformed humanoid, his facial features stretched like a glitching JPEG. The Intruder is a nightmare that crawled out of a PSA. He was introduced in the Mandela Catalogue through an analog public service announcement, warning about break-ins. Except the break-in is reality itself. The disturbing genius of the Intruder is that he weaponizes familiarity. Home safety warnings are supposed to protect you. But here, the authority figure telling you to lock your doors is the thing already inside your house. It's like watching a fire safety video where the flames lean out of the TV and light your carpet. The Intruder's appearance is sickeningly uncanny. The long, warped face, the hollow expression, the way he's always just a little too close. He doesn't even have to move. His presence says enough. You are not safe in your home. You never were. Psychologically, he's horror at its most primal. He's not abstract. He's not divine. He's a man-shaped hole in the fabric of your security. He doesn't need to kill you. You'll die of the realization that the locks don't matter. The walls don't matter. And the announcements on TV aren't warnings, they're taunts. The Doppelgangers. Doppelgangers are the Mandela Catalogue's most intimate terror. The alternate that looks exactly like someone you love. Not kind of like. Not a little uncanny. Exactly. Perfectly. Down to the smallest quirk of their voice. The freckle on their cheek. The way they laugh. The only difference is the intent, and by the time you notice that, it's too late. The nightmare isn't just in seeing them. It's in what happens after. People who encounter doppelgangers often spiral into madness. Unsure who to trust. If your husband, your child, your best friend, yourself could be replaced by an entity wearing their skin, what's left of reality? The Mandela Catalogue doppelgangers are worse than folklore's version because they don't need to be spotted. They don't slip up. They don't betray themselves with shadows. They simply become. And then they play the long game, eroding your sanity day by day. making you question whether you're the duplicate. It's a psychological coup. They don't just replace people, they replace certainty. And that's more lethal than claws or teeth. Because when you start to doubt every face, every voice, every heartbeat in the dark, you realize the Mandela Catalogue isn't just about monsters. It's about erasing the last comfort you had, the people around you. The broadcast intrusions. The broadcast intrusions aren't even characters in the traditional sense, they're weaponized signals. Emergency alert system hijacks. TV broadcasts bent into uncanny sermons. Messages that sound official but drip with corruption. The Mandela Catalogue takes the comfort of public service announcements and mutilates it, turning warnings into threats. What makes the broadcast intrusions so disturbing is their authority. You're conditioned to trust that tone, that beeping, that robotic voice. When the screen flickers with red text, you obey. But here, the commands are wrong. They tell you not to trust your family. They tell you the face beside you in bed isn't your spouse. They tell you suicide is an option. The institution that's supposed to keep you safe is now the knife at your throat. It's a genius inversion of trust. Because the intrusions don't just spread fear, they spread it legitimately. You don't know if your TV is haunted, if your government has collapsed, or if God himself is whispering through static. It doesn't matter. You believe anyway. And belief kills just as effectively as claws. The think principle. The think principle is not a monster. Not a demon. Not even a voice. It's an instruction manual for despair. A mental landmine disguised as advice. Think. Pause before you act. Examine the people around you. Question if they're human. Question if you're human. At first glance, it looks like a survival tool, paranoid wisdom in a world of alternates. But then it sinks deeper. Once you start thinking, you can't stop. You second-guess every gesture, every word, every familiar smile. The paranoia spreads until you don't trust anyone, not even yourself. That's why it's so insidious. It doesn't kill you directly. It convinces you to self-destruct, to isolate, to spiral until the alternate doesn't even need to lift a finger. The think principle is psychological malware, downloaded into your brain through repetition. And worst of all, it feels reasonable. Who wouldn't double-check? Who wouldn't hesitate? But in the Mandela Catalogue, hesitation is death. The think principle turns awareness into obsession, obsession into terror, terror into surrender. It's the most efficient predator of all. An idea that convinces you to eat your own sanity alive. The Archangel. The Archangel is the religious distortion machine at the heart of the Mandela Catalogue. A being that turns scripture into propaganda and faith into a weaponized hallucination. Unlike Gabriel, who at least pretends to be divine, the Archangel is a blunt force theological hammer. It doesn't guide. It commands. Its voice slithers through distorted broadcasts and corrupted sermons, hollowing out every holy word until prayer itself becomes poison. Its imagery is biblical terror turned septic. Wings that look like broken scaffolding. Light that blinds rather than saves. Eyes staring in every direction but never reflecting compassion. The Archangel isn't offering salvation, it's advertising despair. It doesn't need to kill you. Because once you believe in it, you're already dead in spirit. What makes it unbearable is how it twists religious comfort into an executioner's blade. In a world where people cling to God for protection, the Archangel is the voice that says, "You are abandoned. You are nothing. You are prey." Its divinity is counterfeit. Its power absolute in the mind. And that's the Mandela Catalogue's cruelty distilled. The thing you trusted most is the thing that betrays you hardest. The imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome isn't one specific entity. It's the creeping paranoia seeded by the alternates. But it grows like a tumor until it's its own beast. It's the condition where humans no longer need an alternate to torment them because their own brains are doing the work. You see your best friend and wonder, are they breathing too evenly? You hear your mom's voice and think, didn't she use a slightly different word yesterday? You look in the mirror and feel your reflection blink half a second too late. That hesitation festers, mutates, multiplies, until every face is wrong, every voice uncanny, every gesture scripted by something else. The Mandela Catalogue weaponizes this syndrome by making it ambiguous whether the person you doubt is actually an alternate. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, but by the time you decide, you've either destroyed a loved one or let a predator sleep in your house. Either way, you lose. The imposter syndrome is terrifying because it turns survival into paranoia roulette. You can't trust anyone, not even yourself, especially not yourself. And that's the final cruelty. It's not the alternates that drive you insane. It's you. Thinking. Always thinking. The Intruder's broadcast. The Intruder's broadcast is less of a creature and more of a psychic infection carried by television static. You sit down in the dark. The glow of the screen filling the room. And then, his face. Stretched. Pixelated. Barely human. It's not an announcement, it's an invasion. His message isn't, stay safe. It's, I am already here. The uncanny horror is that the screen itself becomes the monster. Normally, TV is a barrier, you watch. You consume. But here, the boundary is broken. The face isn't in the show, it's in your living room. He doesn't warn you about intruders. He is the intruder, reaching through the broadcast to crawl into your reality. This phenomenon weapon is one of the most universal experiences. Sitting alone at night with the television on. That low hiss, that flicker, the static, everyone knows the unease. The broadcast twists it into revelation. Your unease was justified. You weren't paranoid. The TV was looking back. The false prophets. The false prophets are the final rotten blossom of the Mandela Catalogue's obsession with corrupted religion. They aren't alternates themselves but humans, ordinary, desperate humans, who've been deceived into spreading the gospel of the wrong God. They preach messages bent by the Archangel and Gabriel, telling the hopeless that the only way to salvation is obedience, despair, or death. Their sermons are shaky, delivered through trembling voices and static-filled broadcasts. But the conviction is terrifying, because they believe it, and belief, even in a lie, has power. The false prophets blur the line between villain and victim. They're humans manipulated into becoming extensions of the alternates campaign, spreading paranoia more effectively than any direct attack. What makes them so horrifying is how relatable they are. Who wouldn't cling to answers in a world where nothing is real? Where faces are masks and God is silent. But in that clinging, they damn everyone else. They embody the Mandela Catalogue's central cruelty. That the very things meant to save us, faith, trust, authority, are the sharpest knives. The children are not innocent. They're not victims. They're the uncanny byproduct of a world infected by alternates and despair. Where the youngest become conduits for something older than humanity. You hear them on distorted tapes. Their voices warped, too flat or too cheerful for the words they're saying. Mommy isn't mommy. The man in the TV said hello. Innocence twisted into testimony. What makes the children unbearable isn't gore or violence, it's implication. A child should be a tether to reality. A reason to fight, to survive. But in the Mandela Catalogue, they're the first to notice the wrongness. The first to point out that daddy's smile is half a second too wide. And no one believes them. By the time adults realize the truth, it's already too late. They represent corruption at its purest, the infection of innocence. They don't even need to be replaced by alternates. Just being in the world is enough to warp them, to hollow them, until they're whispering things no child should know. They're the proof that the Mandela Catalogue isn't a story about survival. It's a story about inevitability. The angel of death. The angel of death isn't Gabriel. Isn't the Archangel, it's the culmination. The specter that hovers over all of Mandela's horror. Not a single form, but the promise that the end is already here. Wearing whatever mask terrifies you most. In fragments of distorted broadcasts. In the flicker of training videos. In the whispers of survivors. The angel of death appears as both salvation and executioner. Its shape is ambiguous, sometimes skeletal, sometimes divine, sometimes just a shadow stretching far too long across the floor. Its message is always the same, surrender. Not to God, not to the alternates, but to the inevitability of collapse. This figure is disturbing because it's less of a monster and more of an atmosphere. It's the suffocating dread that hangs over every tape, every PSA, every whispered instruction. The angel of death doesn't chase, doesn't threaten, it simply waits, patient, eternal, knowing that sooner or later you'll come to it, because everyone does. It's the final betrayal, in a world already stripped of certainty, love, and faith. Death is the only truth left, and the angel is there to make sure you see it clearly before the lights go out. Please like and subscribe to the channel. There will be many more exciting stories coming up. Subscribe to follow them as soon as possible.